everybody. Welcome to Wingman's Hangar, episode 56. If you're new to the show, this is kind of an inside look at everything CIG. It's Chris Roberts' space-based adventure game. We'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at what we're doing. We'll meet some of the cool people, and we'll take you along for the ride. What do we have coming up today? Well, we have the Vanduul Scythe and PBR, which is physical-based rendering with Stefan. We have forum feedback with your questions and videos, and an interview with Chris Olivia, Chief Visual Officer, and he's going to give us an update about the Scythe concepts. So let's get to the week in review. We've got a new soundstage. Can you hear me now? Yeah, last week we were kind of in the art pit, and it was about a 60 decibel hum that never went away. We can't control the air conditioning there, so we've gone and we've found a soundstage, so hopefully we sound a lot better and you guys can get better sound from all of us. We have the Animation Summit going on this week with Brian Brewer. We've got people from all over the world in for animation work, from Denver, from Manchester, from Santa Monica, from all over. All our animators are here, and we're going through how to properly animate characters, ships, and objects inside the game. Now, that's going to be next week. We'll give you a little inside peek at what that means and how that all works. So stay tuned for that next week. It's kind of a little tease. We have new hires, Paul Wagner and David Ladyman. Now, Paul Wagner is going to be our art tools programmer. He's sort of a technical artist. He's going to help us on the art side, get everything going, and make sure that we have tools. We use Shotgun for visual representation for people to look at things, and then we use Jira for tasking. And so we're trying to get those two married together, and he's going to help us with that. And David Ladyman is the guy that's been behind Jump Point Magazine. All you subscribers that paid for this show, thank you, will recognize him. He's the genius behind that. He's actually joined us full time now to help us work on economy and the design side. He's going to be giving Rob Irving and Chris a lot of help. And David's an old pen and paper guy, and Chris is really big on pen and papering things out to make sure they work first, because if anybody's ever made a game before, you know how important that is. We also want to welcome John Schimmel. He's our linear media producer. He's new to the show, and he's here to help us expand the reporting from around the globe. So now we're expanding our video operations and give you an inside look at everything going around at all the different studios, and that'll be our job to make sure we get that to you. Less fluff, more stuff. And as ever, you guys are amazing. Check out these fan gifts. Come on, big meters. Whoa!
Yeah! Man, dude, that is sweet!
Yeah, look.
There's got to be a note in here, right?
So it looks like, it's from the, we got all the stuff, the popcorn, everything. Oh, it looks like it's from the,
I can say this, the Old Timers Guild. What do we say, guys?
Thanks, Old Timers! Hey, everybody, we got another gift. And this one looks like it's from Germany.
So, I could just scratch my right cheek.
Let's open the gift. Oh, what could it be? Whoa! Hey, cool, actually. Look at this.
Awesome! Check it out!
Well, I can do the juggling act with.
It says, "Dear CIG team," it says, "We know you're busy making the BDSSE. We all know what that means, right?" They made some toys for CIG to have fun with, and they give us a list of people who we have to give the knives to. So everybody's put them back, and it's from Gregor Masher. So, look who it's from. All the contributing members of this. It's from Sun, from the Systems United Navy. Thanks, guys. Woohoo! Yeah! I want to thank the Old Timers for the popcorn gift and Mark Skelton for getting so close. Hey, if you didn't get a chance to see it, The Next Great Starship had episode 2, season 1, episode 2 last week, and they eliminated a couple more people, and they've got some really cool designs. Remember, all those people that have been eliminated are also in the wild card, so you'll get a chance to save them later on, and I really like some of the designs from last week, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk to Mr. Chris Olivia later about, his efforts on the show. That's pretty cool. This week's studio report is all about PBR.
We've had a fun time trying to set up the base materials that we wanted, since we knew that we're going to have kind of repetition and kind of our consistency throughout the entire our material library. We know we're going to have gold, we know we're going to have titanium, we know we're going to have aluminum. So one thing that we really wanted to do was with ships, we wanted kind of damage or grunge over time. We basically have the ability to have like the material in a 100% condition, and then we can slowly drag it down into more of a deteriorating kind of dirty look and have that very custom to what particular type of material we're actually using. Another thing that we've had some fun with is working with our writers to kind of create these kind of fantasy metals that are going to be in the lore and whatnot, which is kind of cool. So it's just kind of define what type of materials are going to be for the different alien races, and for the UEE, maybe 900 years in the future, we're going to kind of modified versions of what we have now. This is kind of more of a final look of what it's going to be when you guys actually get it. So the reason of the teapot is kind of an inside joke in the rendering community. It's kind of started in 1975. They needed an object that would render complex surfaces, and it kind of just stuck ever since. It's kind of similar to like the hello world of like the computer programming world.
You guys can kind of see the work behind all that and how important that is to us and how much difference that's going to make on all the ships. And you know what time it is? Now it's time for
feedback.
So hey, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What do you think of the new digs?
This is comfy.
It is comfy.
I
It's
feel
pretty
good.
cool. Right, let's get right to it then. From Sir Alpenwolf. Will organizations within the persistent universe have more of a role/function to the daily contribution of the overall running of the universe, or are they to remain just a shell or name for players to gather under? That's a
That
big
is
question.
A mouthful.
Yeah, that was not easy for me to get through.
That's
as
a
you
lot of
well know.
words.
That's a lot. That must be a lots of words.
So organizations, I mean, by nature, they're collections of players, and
Right.
we've already said players can affect the universe. I mean, in little ways and sometimes in larger ways. As far as the organizations, you'll never be able to necessarily like completely break the system.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to destabilize an entire system right now.
No, the simulation is going to be too big for that. But you'll have some impact on things like individual systems. Maybe you could like blockade an economic portion just by handling one system.
Right. Maybe you become a monopoly on iron or something in a certain sector or something of that nature.
Something of
Yeah,
that
that's
nature.
pretty cool. All right. Ooh, from Beer for the Beer God. We've had his questions before, and that's an excellent name.
It is an excellent name.
What is the latest on instancing, and how will it impact the game? Is the cap going to be ship-based or player-based? And do you have any idea how big the cap will be? That is a tough question.
That could be the topic of an entire novel all by itself.
Yeah.
But the actual cap size, we don't know yet. Obviously, there's a lot of technology to come. There's a lot to be done there. But as far as what we do know and what we will figure out with you as we go through the dogfighting module process is that there will be a combination of player and ship effect on that cap.
Right.
Because, for instance, you take a Nitrous Corvette. There could be a bunch of players in that Corvette,
Right.
but they don't all count the same as those same players in Hornets flying around.
Right.
Because while they do have communication back and forth with the server, they don't have all of the impact and all of the movement controls and everything that
Right,
have
because
be
to the
reported.
guy in the other Hornet, that's just another ship.
Exactly.
Right.
So you'll count a little less, but you'll still count some. And so there will be a balancing process. There's a lot to it, though. We have to figure this out as we go.
Right, and that's kind of one of the reasons we're doing this modularly, I know, so that we can get their input on how to do it, and we can figure out where that cap and where that slider is. So you guys will help us with that. From, oh man, Sparviro, I think I got it right, Sparviro. What is the status of the Voyager Direct store revamp? I recall seeing a snippet showing the Montreal studios work on this before the anniversary. Yeah, Turbulent does good work. So
They do excellent work.
Yeah. So
They're great guys.
what's the status of the Voyager Direct store?
So the plan at this point is to release the Voyager Direct revamp shortly after the dogfighting module releases.
After the dogfighting module, you don't say.
After the dogfighting.
Well, so the obvious question then is, Rob, when is the dogfighting module coming out?
Everybody asks that question.
Yes, they do.
Well, here is the plan as it currently stands, and that is that we are going to do an unveiling of the dogfighting module at PAX East. Check your calendars real quickly. Just like we did the Hangar last year. If all goes as planned, then we will release it to the public shortly after that reveal. Now, there's a lot of moving parts. We're just bringing on the world servers, the universe servers. So
This week, in fact.
this week. This
Yeah.
is a big deal. This is a huge thing. One of the reasons we pushed it back was we're getting what's going to power our entire persistent universe online now and getting started testing that as we go. So it's going to take a lot of iterations to get that running properly and get it ready to host what's going to be, 500,000 people potentially by that time. So
Right. So essentially, this week, we've built the universe, the system cluster, and we're just now starting to test that. And that is going to, while before the dogfighting thing module we showed you guys in December was over a LAN, right? And now we're getting the cloud-based system in place, the back end. And we're now going to be able to test between offices and have those dogfights. I mean, we're all testing in our own individual space, but now we're going to be able to test, and that'll help us determine lag, how many ships, the question earlier about the instance size, all that stuff's got to be determined, and we're just getting that in this week. So to recap, dogfighting module plan, subject to change, is we're going to reveal PAX East, and I know the date. You might catch a clue on that if you look at the website and try to look at, when is a poll for a certain event going on there? So we'll be able to reveal, sort of like we did with a Hangar, right? And then we will, a few days after, a little bit after that, when everybody gets back, if everything's ready to go, we'll then have that big dogfighting module release. If it's not then, it'll be dang close to then, because we're working hard and everybody's cranking and we're ready to get it out to you guys. And I know you, by God, I know you're ready to see it. So there you go. From Zach, he says, I was wondering about the log out mechanic on multi-crew vessels. For example, if you log off on a friend's constellation and then he logs out of the game before you come back, where will you be when you log back in? That's a good question.
that is a good question. We had some discussion about that today. Now, if you physically put your character, as opposed to jumping in as an AI gunner, physically take your character onto a ship, you're pretty much signing up for the duration of the
Now explain
trip.
that a bit. Now okay, so you have a choice, right? You can physically get in, I can get in your ship and be a crew member, or if you call for help, I can,
Jump in and take over an AI
there
seat
you go.
for a
So,
turret.
so what this is talking about is when our characters are together and I'm in your ship. So.
I am there. I got on board at the last planet you were at. We are going wherever we're going. So if you're getting on for that ride, you're signing up for the whole ride. It's not like you can just jump out in the middle of space and go, poof, I'm back home. So if you log out prior to your friends logging out and prior to you getting to your destination, then you should expect to come back on that ship. Now, if that ship is parked in space, for instance, there's still some gray area there. It may be that we'll end up letting you, if he's given you permission to fly, we may let you fly the ship the rest of the way, or we may put you back on the last planet you docked on. So.
Right, and we're still working out
there's-
all those details. I mean, we just had a design meeting today about that very thing with Chris and all the studios working that out. So, all right, and this is a related question, a fan video. Not too many, but this one's really good. Alpha Maker, take it away.
Hi, Wingman. Question. If I'm piloting a multi-crewed ship and I get
As
disconnected,
AI replacement, do I maintain control and return to Hangar?
Or as his buddy, can I take control from the AI and continue the mission? Signing off for Alpha Maker. See you in the verse.
Wow, that was a cool video, and we want more videos, but we want to make sure that they are of good questions and good quality. So that was a good one, Rob. So and it's related to the one we just took. So what is the answer there? So
Very, very pertinent. So continuing on what I said before, one of the things we talked about is your friend giving you permission to fly.
Right.
So there's a possibility that someone could get on your ship that you don't want to fly it. So partially it's dependent on whether they've let you fly, but the sequence of events as we understand it right now is that if you disconnect and you're flying a ship, the AI will take over your ship and attempt, in its possibly not entirely super awesome way, to get you to a safe
to your
haven,
destination, right?
to your destination. So your ship is still around and
Right.
can be, damaged, destroyed. But if you get back on, then you can pilot again. If a friend is on board who has permission to fly that ship, then that friend would supersede that AI pilot and would be able to take control of the ship.
So essentially a hierarchy, right? The owner of the craft is in position 1 or the number 1, and then any friend that has permission would be position 2, and then AI or NPC would be position 3. So whoever's there left can pilot it, and then when the guy comes back on, his ship still his ship, right? So he just drops back in the body of the NPC, becomes whatever, and takes back over. Cool. From Gardiner, he says, How will discovery of jump points be handled? Once it's discovered, is it automatically uploaded for the verse to use, or will we be able to share it with organization members first, then upload the jump point when we get back to civilized space? And we've had that question before,
We've talked
but it's
about
always
that
good
before.
for the new people to get some questions about that.
Refresh things, right? Especially where explorers are concerned, because a
No
lot of
doubt.
our fans are explorers.
Absolutely.
So you can hold that information for yourself or for your friends, and then when you're ready, upload it to the universe, as it were. That's a good way to put it. Go pass that information on to people who will then disseminate it to others. But
Now, what happens if you give the clan some information, and me, being a clan member, decides that, hey, I want to name that jump point after me? What goes on then?
if someone else gets there before you do, if
Before
someone
I
else
get
takes
kicked out of the
those
clan, I get a
coordinates
jump
back,
point named after me.
Exactly. Then right before your last day in the clan,
Right.
you can take that yourself. Yeah. So if somebody else finds it while you're keeping the information to yourself, then that person will end up getting to name the jump point.
So that's just kind of a risk they take, right? Cool. From Divas, will there be medical-oriented services that players will have the opportunity to provide? Could we, for instance, turn an Idris into a mobile hospital?
That's very cool.
That is cool.
So that is one of our big topics.
And we
this
talked
morning.
about that
Should be
today
done.
again.
Yeah, we actually, this came up and right after that, and we decided that was an excellent time to answer it. So we do have mechanics around rescuing players from combat and helping them heal. In fact, there may be a situation where if you were able to drag your friend out of a fight where he's seriously wounded, you may be able to keep him from dying.
Right.
So what we don't know is exactly what ships will be medical ships, but we do want to have ambulance ships, medical ships.
Right, so we can't particularly say that the Idris is a medical ship, but
Right.
we do know that mechanic's important, and
Yeah.
and it's something particular. I love playing a medic, so that's really interesting to me as far as either I'm a medic or a drug runner, but they're kind of related in a way.
We want to support all these different play types.
Absolutely.
That's important.
From Ninja Knight GB, during the first few iterations of the dogfighting module, will we be able to use power to systems management, controlling how much and where power goes?
Well, simple answer to that is yes, we're bringing those systems online. While we won't have the full system online for the first iteration of dogfighting, because the capital ship power systems are very big and complex. We will have some form of that, and you'll be able to move power from shields to weapons to engines at launch.
And it's a balancing issue. It's one of those things we want them to help us with, and it's one of the reasons the dogfighting module was we delayed it a little bit, because we wanted to get that system in place in a working manner that made sense and allowed the game mechanic for people to enjoy. So, give us your feedback when you finally get to play. From Flashback, we've seen spaceships and the buggy, but will there be other types of vehicles, machinery in the game, like automated cargo loaders, hover buses in the cities, or ship repair bots?
Amazingly enough, yes. We already have, for instance, we're getting concept done for a cargo sled of some sort, maybe even some EVA mining equipment. We also promised quite some time ago that there would be a repair bot. So
Yeah, I think anybody under, I think it was 20 million, everybody got a repair bot?
no, repair bot was like 3.5.
Was it 3.5
Way,
million?
way,
Oh,
way,
that's
way
back in the day. Okay. So definitely
So
that's
yes,
going to happen.
lots of things. And
All right.
design is ongoing, right?
From Riken, yep. Will the owners of the Scythe, because I keep wanting to say Sith, I say it so often as a joke that it almost comes out. Will the owners of the Scythe be able to fly them as soon as the dogfighting module is released?
So, the Scythe.
You shuddered.
The Scythe is initially planned to be an AI opponent in the dogfighting module. Now, there are a lot of systems that have to come online for it to be fully playable, which mostly internal systems, the cockpit, the HUD, all those different pieces, animations that go with it. So initially, we plan to release it as an AI opponent, and then as it comes online, as with the other single-player ships first, we will then bring things on as they're ready. So not right away, but at some point.
Right, and you guys saw a little bit of the Scythe earlier in Force Thing, and if you hang around to the end of the show, I think you're going to see a lot more. Let's just say PBR Scythe, PBR Scythe. I think you'll be worth the wait. All right, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. And now it's time for Mike Morlan with this week's Most Valuable Post.
Hi, I'm Michael Morlan, standing in for Ben Lesnick in this week's Most Valuable Post. This week's MVP goes to CRYO for his post, "If your gunship were an animal, what kind of animal would it be?" Well, predictably, people had a lot of great answers, including honey badger. Here's a snapping turtle, ouch. A coconut crab, what? And of course, well, a Care Bear. You know, that guy's going to be nerfed before he even gets out of the hangar. Congratulations, CRYO, you're our MVP this week.
Thanks, Mike. Looking forward to having Ben back. No offense, but I kind of miss him on MVP. And now it's time for this week's Fan Focus. Thanks. This week's Fan Focus is Phil. He's actually taken one of our 3D models in the game, broken it out, pieced it back together, and created a printed 3D model. Take a look at this. That's really, really cool. I want one of those in my office. Thanks, Phil. You're this week's Fan Focus. Wow. That is a really, really cool model. Hey, did you pretty neat what fans do when they take it out and...
That's awesome. I want one.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, send it to us. He keeps pointing me at cameras, never sure which one to go to. Send it. We gotta get used to that, folks. You're gonna have to get ready. Look who's with us. Chris Olivia, Chief Visual Officer. So today we're talking a little about the Scythe. And,
Scythe, yes.
Yeah, and you've been...
Is it Scythe or Scythe?
Yeah, you know, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you've been involved and you've concepted and made the Vanduul yourself. I mean, you kind of...
The character, yeah.
The character, and you've been involved in the look and feel of all that the whole way.
Right.
So, how did the original Scythe come about?
Well, that was way before me. That was during the original trailer and sort of fan funding, 2012.
Right.
Chris Roberts had an artist named Jim Martin come up with a bunch of different designs, and it was sort of, we knew it was going to be our main bad guy. And I think that the original inspiration was, if I can say it, Kilrathi inspired.
Kilrathi.
Right? Well, right, but new, proved, cooler, better, different. So he came up with great designs. The model was built, CG-Bot built the final game asset. It was in the trailer. Looked great. That was a long time ago, though, before we all kind of got into the groove. So.
Right. And so we're making a lot of changes, and it's sort of an iterative process. So why don't we explain to them why we're updating the Scythe now?
Right. Well, it's an evolutionary process. So as we all started, we got into sort of developing the look and feel of what the Vanduul sort of culture is. And so part of that is getting various concept artists to sort of help develop the look of the characters, the world, based on sort of what the fiction is. And so we got a great artist named John Dickinson coming up with just brilliant sort of alien biomechanical, but very different from like alien look. So it's like a really, really great, interesting, unique look that everybody's happy with. So as that's moving along and he's sort of developing the look of it, we're having to sort of revisit kind of the original first Vanduul ship to sort of bring that into what the look and feel of the style of the Vanduul is.
Right.
So,
and now what does that mean? Now, what is the process for doing that? I mean, how do we update those materials?
well, once we get to a certain point with sort of the look and the feel, we took one of our best artists, Nathan Dearsley.
Nathan Dearsley.
Right.
Hello, Nathan.
Who is amazing. He's in England, so I wish he was here. But he took on the job of basically updating the Scythe, and it was for a variety of reasons. I mean, a lot of it was because the original model was made for the trailer. As good as it was, it needed sort of updating on sort of detail, because we knew that we were going to be, fans are going to buy this and look at it in their hangar and walk around it, so it needed to hold up from a very, very close range.
That's a good point, because when you're looking at something from distance in space, you're shooting at a very tiny object. It can look great there, but when you're in the hangar and you're physically climbing into the cockpit or you're walking around, it's got to hold up.
It's got to hold up. You can't sort of look at anything and say, oh, that's not really looking realistic.
Right. The closer I get, the worse it looks.
Right. So I mean, you want to be able to like walk around it and get in it and touch it and enjoy your alien ship.
Yeah. So, go on. Sorry.
No. So it's so part of it is just detailing out, like extra detail, extra geometry. I mean, we have with the CryEngine, we have the luxury of high poly counts, so we can sort of like really push that. Nathan really spent a lot of time sort of balancing detail in certain areas, not getting too overly busy though, sort of going on the style guide that that we developed with John Dickinson. And it sort of like developed, you know, feedback from myself and Chris Roberts, sort of pushing it into more of a look and feel of kind of the way the alien race sort of evolved. And part of that also is updating functionality, making sure everything works, making sure everything animates correctly in a realistic way. So.
They get in much differently than humans do, right? It's a different way of getting into the cockpit, flying the ship, all that kind of stuff. So.
Right, and these are 8-foot tall aliens, so you know, we need to figure out, you know, how they fly the thing. Their technology is sort of going to dictate, you know, sort of like how they're flying it. We also have to consider human flyability eventually. I don't know if that's
I mean, there are folks out there that have one of these, and or not in their hangar yet, but
right.
fairly soon, I think they'll have it in
so there's a lot to think about as far as the interior of the cockpit that was really never developed, and so Nathan is really thinking about this stuff hard as far as like getting the proper alien technology in there, but also being able to make sure that it can be retrofitted for human flight.
Right, and that's crucial because, I mean, obviously there are humans that will be flying that.
Yes.
There's not a lot of Vanduul that are going to be flying that.
Right.
Not real ones.
No. Well, right. Wait, what?
I don't know. You say something?
No.
Okay, cool.
I'm just sitting here.
Right, well, thank you, Chris, for the big update. I don't know, which camera am I on, Mike? That one over there. Okay, cool. I want to thank you for coming by and giving us the update, and we got to see some of those images. And, you know, it wouldn't be cool to talk about the Vanduul Scythe. Scythe. Well, are they real?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Wouldn't be nice to talk about them unless we actually got to see them. Take a look at this. So, man, that was really cool. I mean, we get to show them a little bit. Now, Nathan did that, right?
Right.
And that's PBR'd.
PBR, it's beautiful stuff. It's going to really push the look of what we're doing to a whole new level. And what he's done with sort of updating the Scythe in general, with the sort of the details and the feel of it, pushing it more towards sort of the organic quality that we're wanting. It's really sort of emulating what the character is as far as sort of the biomechanical organic feel. So.
Yeah, and you can see the thing I like about PBRs too is, I mean, things you would do normally in texture where, you know, we just talked earlier about how when you get up close to something, this holds up because it's actually physically there, and which is why it's called physical-based rendering, right?
Is that what it's called?
I think so. PBR? I don't know.
It's very sort of like you can. It has a tangible feel to where it feels very realistic, and so it's like the lighting reacts very, very well to it. So it's going to be nice.
Yeah, it's like the hoses look like hoses. I mean, it's just.
Yes.
It's a big deal, and so it's also a big switch for us because we have to go back through and touch every single asset we've done,
Right.
and make it.
Right. It's a big deal, but it's worth it, and it's going to look great. So.
And we're starting that like now, so we'll be that's another point. There'll be a Hangar patch coming out hopefully this week, and then we'll probably won't be one for a little while we update everything to PBR. But in the end, it's going to be worth it, right? Well, that's kind of our show. I want to thank subscribers and pledgers, particularly subscribers, for allowing us to do this and bring this show and bring all these things about CIG to you. Coming up this week, we've got more on the Animation Summit. We'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at that. We'll have some video footage. We'll try to walk you through how to animate things in the game. Back-end servers up. We talked about that earlier, and we're beginning the testing. So by next week, hopefully, we'll have played against Los Angeles. And let me just say, the Dakota will be kicking Mavericks' buttocks. So also on Friday, Next Great Starship 1.3 is out. Make sure you check that out. Sandi Gardiner's hosting, and with you also, man. You guys are doing a great. That's fun to do, isn't it?
It's awesome, yeah.
I mean, you guys are. It looks like you guys are having a real good time. And can we burn Mark's shirt?
No. It is sort of the icon of what it is now.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
That's. It looks like Hugh Hefner's pajama top or
right.
something.
And he doesn't wash it, so we smell it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I can smell him down the hall from me as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come on out, check it out. When we put something up, you'll be the first one to know. Submit your questions on the RSI forum. We're going to be taking some harder hitting, heavy questions for you going forward because we get the answers from the man himself. And submit your, how can I almost forget? We got an informal Wingman's Hangover that's 15 minutes after the show. Just join us on chat roll and we'll interact and talk and you can tell me what you liked and what you liked about the show. And if you didn't like something, well, you keep that to yourself. But anyway, it's just kind of a fun thing on chat roll. We get together, answer questions, take Skype calls. It's 15 minutes after the show. It's called Wingman's Hangover, and it's actually before there is any actual hangover. And remember, if you want your stuff featured on the Wingman's Hangar, send it in. We just might use it. Where are we going to see him, Chris? In the verse.
Don't touch me! Hey! Hey! Don't touch me!